Okay, today what we're going to talk about is cleaning up a logo project. So it's very easy to come up with something that looks pretty good, like this particular logo. But if you zoom in, you can see that there are some areas that are kind of very sort of funky. Um, that's not a very smooth transition. And if you look at this, these don't line up very well. If I actually grab a line segment and drag it along here, you can see how far they really don't line up. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this, and we're going to do it in a more geometric, more mathematical sort of way. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this logo that already exists. I'm going to fade it back. As a matter of fact, I'll just fade back this part. You also can see that if I select this, Command Y, Command Y, you can see that they've included strokes on this, but there's actually no real reason to have strokes, so that we can also eliminate that and create a file that's much cleaner. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to go in Illustrator. I'm going to go to transparency, and I'm going to fade this back just to make it easier to see what I'm doing. Okay. And I'm going to lock this layer, and I'm going to create a new layer. Okay. First thing we have here is we have a unit, basically a rectangle with rounded ends. Now, it's possible to conceive of this as a little bit differently, that maybe these actually come out a little bit and then come back in a little bit. I'm going to not do that in this case. So part of the problem is you got to know what exactly is happening. And I don't know exactly what's happening. Also, what I'm going to do is use a technique. Go to the rectangle tool. So if I'm taking a rectangle and just creating rounded edges on it, I can actually take the rectangle like this. I'll fill it. Let's do something else. Select all unused. I'm going to just delete all those colors. I'm actually going to go back, and I'm going to unlock this, and I'm going to take these colors, and I'm going to go to transparency, and I'm going to run these right back up again. I'm going to select this item. Let's even do it in sort of color order. Okay, so there's yellow. I'm going to go and create a new color. It's set to global. It's set to CMYK. And I click OK. And we set it to global because if I decide I want to change this color at any time, I can change the color and it will change globally. Then I'm going to go to the green, click OK. There, click OK. there, click OK. So now I have the colors. And then I'm going to go back to these and make them transparent. And then lock that. Okay, so again, I was saying that one way to create this object is to create a rectangle. Right, back to layer 2. Click and create an object that's about like that. And then I'm going to take it over here, rotate it 45 degrees by holding the Shift key. See how much different that is. Bring it out like that. And then I can take and hold here on this corner device, bring it in all the way, and that gives me perfectly rounded corners. There is one problem with doing this, and the problem with that, here I'm going to create another one over here. If I do this, and I take my white arrow, and I click on this point at the top, and I pull on it, you'll see you actually have 2 points there, which could cause problems later on. So instead, I'm going to click on this object. And if I go to Object Path, and I go to Simplify, and I click here, you'll see that it gets rid of the additional point. This is now a simpler object. I can just delete that one. So I'm going to click on this one. And I'm going to go to Object Path, Simplify. And so that is now a simpler object. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to go to my rulers. So View, Rulers, make sure that the rulers are turned on. View, Rulers, Show Rulers. And then I can drag guides. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in a long ways, hit Command Y. I'm going to hide this in order to make sure that I can still see. That should be my center point. And I'm going to pull the guide over onto that center point there. And a guide down to the center point there. And that will help me as I'm working. Command 0, turn that on. Command Y. Okay, so that's exactly at the center of this logo. And again, you can see that that's not quite centered up right and so on. So okay. Then what I'm going to do is I need this split in this item. So I'm going to go create a rectangle. I'll make it white. The heck, I'll make it yellow for the moment. I'm going to now Object Shift, hit that on a 45-degree angle. I'm going to make it narrower so it matches. So it's about like that. Rotate it again like that. And I'm going to go to my center, bring it out to that point there. Okay, so now I have a device like that. I'm going to edit. No, I'll just do this straight. So I'm going to click Shift to select this item and that item. I'm going to go to the Pathfinder tool and I'm going to remove the front, and that removes the front like that. Then I'm going to edit copy, edit paste in front, and rotate that 90 degrees. And then I'm going to select both of those objects, go to the Pathfinder, and I'm going to select, well, actually, I don't even have to do it that way. I'm going to use a slightly different tool. I'm going to go over here to the Shape Builder tool, and I'm going to drag across those three items. And then I'm going to hold my Option key and select that item. Option key, select that, select that, select that. And then I'm going to drag across those items and join them. So those items are now joined. Okay. Then I'm going to take my ellipse tool, hold the Shift key, Shift Option key, and drag out. I can double check it. It looks pretty perfect. I could also pull a guide, zoom way in, pull a guide for the top, pull a guide for the bottom. Drag that over there. And it's not quite large enough. Command Shift drag. So that's now in perfect position. 0. I'm going to zoom in here. Go to my rotate tool. Option click where those two items join. And I'm going to tell it to rotate 90 degrees. And I'm going to tell it to copy. And it does that. And then I can go to Object, Transform, Transform again. And Object, let's see, Command Zoom out. Let's see, Object, Transform, Transform again. Object, Transform, Transform again, or Command D. And now I have a logo that should be fairly perfect. And now I can go pull out my options here, select that and select that, and make them green. I seem to have something grouped. So object ungroup, object ungroup. So these are now independent of each other. Okay, select, shift select green. Select yellow. Let's see, hide that. Okay, select turquoise, and select, that's already dark blue. And so then I have that, and if I hide this entirely, what we have, and I hide my guides, command, semicolon. So I have that. And that's a fairly perfect version of the logo with my nice smooth curves. And if I'll turn that back on, select the parts of it, object group, I can't seem to have left an item there, delete that. And go back to the original. Go to transparency, crank that back up again. So we have this logo, which is a little rounder than that logo. So, and if I hit Command Z and Z and Z, that goes back in place. And then I can lock that layer, unlock this layer, delete these items. I can rename this if I want type. Rename this one art or symbol. Okay. And the other thing, if I hit Command Y, you see that this type is not outlined. And if we are working with something that's going to be used as a logo, it's generally, once we're really super finished with the type, we generally want to outline the type because then nobody needs to have the specific the specific font. And there's very little chance or no chance that the font will accidentally get replaced, which is always possible. So I'm gonna do a little bit of work in here because I think if I hold up, if I go to my type, characters, there it is. I'm gonna, oops. No, I want the kerning. can see it very slowly getting tighter. Then we've got it a little bit tight here. So I'm going to very slowly make that a little bit farther apart. Maybe that's a little tighter, -10, -10, -30. That's minus. Okay. One can also select this type, and instead of using auto, you can use optical, and that may also adjust and fix up your kerning. I always find that it usually also tightens the line a little bit, and so it might be a good idea to go back and loosen the tracking. That all lined up. I'm going to save this file, save as master, because the type is still live. And so if I decide to make a change, that's a, I still have this type all ready to go. I'm also going to select this logo, select all of this type, and I'm going to tell it to center. So go to the alignment, tell it to center. So it was off a little bit now. That's a good thing to fix now. Again, save it as part of the master. And then I'm going to select this type and go to Object, Expand. I'm going to tell it to only expand the object, because otherwise I think you end up with two actual items, the object and the fill, and really you only need one of them. It's just going to be confusing otherwise. Click OK. That's now outlined. Command Y, looks like that. Command save. No, this is a master file, save as outline. Okay. Click save. Click OK. And I could also save this as file, save as. Instead of Illustrator, I can save it as a PDF. Save. Save. There's something else that I have neglected to do that would be useful. If you notice right now, we've got a lot of artboard here that we don't really need. If you go to Object, Artboards, Fit to Artwork Bounds, it does that. I generally prefer, I worry a little bit when he does this, when you have round objects actually touching the edge. So I'm actually going to go back and make this just a little bit bigger. No. Sorry, not thinking. So it's closer. There's not as much wasted space. Command save. And then file save as .ai, save, replace, okay, and file save as .eps, save, okay. I would make it TIFF and transparent. And click OK. And that would be the logo. Done to a much higher level of production value.